Welcome to this Art plus Feminism presentation on Wikidata building blocks. In this module, we will cover the parts of Wikidata and how they work together. Before we begin, let's establish some shared definitions. Metadata is frequently referred to as data about data. A common example is the information that is created when you take a photo with your phone or camera. Information such as the date it was taken, the file owner, file format, and what device it was taken on will all be automatically attached to the image. Structured data is data that is organized into a system, structure, or model that can be read by both humans and computers. Linked data is structured data that is linked to other data. Wikidata is a great example of this. Think of it like an endless spiderweb with millions of connection points. Open data is free and able to be used by anyone for any purpose. Wikidata is a great example of an open, linked data network. Some of the benefits of linked open data and contributing to Wikidata include better entity recognition, allowing users, both machine and human, to better understand which entity of thing we are referring to. For example, people, places, or things that have the same name but mean different things, such as the word orange. Orange the color, orange the fruit, and orange the city in California all share the same name but are all given different IDs in Wikidata that help differentiate all things orange. Structured and open data also allows for the data to be reused in new ways across the internet. Knowledge panels provide short summaries and appear often with search results. Here we see an example of a Google search for Ruha Benjamin, and the knowledge panel that appears in the search results. There are also search advantages when you have structured and linked data, enabling users to receive better search results. As practices change from user searching using keywords to asking questions, relationship mapping becomes more important and better enables tools like AI to answer questions. So how is Wikidata built? Wikidata is made up of items, and each item represents a specific person, place, thing, or idea. Each item is assigned a unique alphanumeric ID, known as a QID or Q number. The QID increases each time a new item is added to Wikidata. For instance, the first Wikidata item is Q1 for universe. At the time of this presentation, there are over 138 million Wikidata items. Here are examples of two Wikidata items, one for the person Ruha Benjamin and one for the book Race After Technology, written by Benjamin. Notice that each has a unique QID. Each item on Wikidata is assigned properties. Properties are labels that describe the item. Each property has a unique alphanumeric ID that starts with a P. Here are some examples of properties. Instance of is probably the most common property you will use. Every item should have an instance of property associated with it that describes what kind of item it is. Ruha Benjamin is an instance of human, and the book Race After Technology is an instance of a written work. Benjamin and Race After Technology can be linked using the property notable work. The properties publication date and title are both used on the Race After Technology item with non-linking values of 2019 and Race After Technology Abolitionist Tools for the New Jim Code. This brings us to values. Each property in Wikidata has a corresponding value that describes the Wikidata item. Most of these link to other Wikidata items, but some, such as dates, don't link to anything. Here we have an example of the book Race After Technology with the properties publication date and author. The publication date does not link to another Wikidata item, but the author links to Ruha Benjamin's Wikidata item. The property and value together create a statement. Each item in Wikidata should have at least one statement. Here is another way of looking at a statement for the item Race After Technology. You use the author property P50 to connect the book with its author, and this property and value together make a statement. When added to an item, each statement creates a sentence of sorts, which can be read just using the Q and P IDs. For instance, the item Q289-35115, Ruha Benjamin, has P800, notable work, Q134985988, Race After Technology. Once there are multiple statements attached to an item, we can see the data is truly linked. The item Ruha Benjamin is linked to the place Y, as it was where Benjamin was born. The item also links to the occupation of sociologist, representing Benjamin's field of work. Here we see what the item looks like in Wikidata, with a title, QID, and a statement that this item represents a human. There is also a reference there. There is also a reference here. Each statement can have a reference which allows the information to be verifiable. Each item can have many properties. These properties are from Benjamin's Wikidata item. Date of birth is a property that should have a reference associated with it, but it does not. For this reason, there is a flag next to the value. Properties are created by the Wikidata community and reflect the biases and inequities of those who created them. As an editor, you can create, edit, and advocate for new properties and values to be created. Each property can also have multiple values. Here we see the example, field of work, from Benjamin's item. It links to 6 separate values. When we compare the Wikipedia article and the Wikidata item, we can see the difference between describing a person with free text versus describing a person only with linked open data. The first sentence of the article can be broken down into multiple linked data statements. Ruha Benjamin, born 1978, is a sociologist and professor in the Department of African American Studies at Princeton University. Statements about her date of birth, field of work, profession, and employer are all linked open data statements that could be made using this one sentence as a reference. As we edit with feminist principles in mind and with Wikidata rules in mind, it is important to add to descriptions of people respectfully. When writing about living people, we should stick to the facts that can be corroborated with references. We want to prioritize the safety, dignity, and agency of the people represented in Wikidata, especially living and marginalized folks. You want to have sources or direct consent from people when editing items about them. And if you aren't sure, don't include it. You don't have to go it alone. Find another Wikidata item to use as an example, and there are many examples and guides that can also be helpful when figuring out which properties to use for which type of item. Items like books, living people, and museums all have specific guides and advice for how to create and edit them. Time to look at some examples. Click on the images and explore these items. Thanks for listening. See you in the next module on creating an account and making your first edits.